Hey guys, I just want to make a kind of quick announcement thing. This video was supposed to be released around Christmas time, but I never got a chance to actually upload it. I'm sorry it's kind of late, but better than never, right? Yeah, let's get back to the video. I'm sorry for the delay. Hope y'all enjoy.
Though I ride with you, then bring the troops in.
I fuck around and let them loose then.
We'll give them blues then.
Fucking call me Bobby Blue Blade.
How's it going, everyone? This is something I kind of wanted to do on Halloween, but I kind of missed the chance to because of all the college work. But now that I'm off and doing Christmas, I really wanted to show y'all this deck profile of Ghostrick. This is pretty much one of my favorite decks to play, my favorite archetypes, and pretty much I love their artwork and their playing mechanics as well as flipping them face down, manipulating your opponent's monsters' positions, and having this very controlly sense of playing. And I don't know, this deck is very pretty unorthodox to play with against, even in the current meta right now, when it's pretty fast with the pendulum summons and shit. But this is this is just like the little core that you can make with, and I will suggest some other cards that you can implement into this deck if you do plan to build it by any means, or you just have some cards you're like, okay, maybe this will work together. You know, this is just my deck that I made out of with kind of the basic shit that I have. But without further ado, let me show you what we got here. So the kind of the main one is actually Jiangxi. This right here is your searcher, level 3. Whenever he is flipped face up, you search a Ghostrick card, well, not a Ghostrick card, but a Ghostrick monster equal to the level of face up monsters. So if there's 1 face up, you can add level 1. If there's 2 or 3, you can add a level 3 or lower. It's very nice. Like, this is where you get all your monsters, your hand traps ready. Next, you got your I got run 3 lanterns. This is ones that whenever it has the same generic effect that all the Ghostrick have. Like, once per turn you can flip this card, you can flip this monster face down. It doesn't have a flip up effect, but what it does is acts as a hand trap. Pretty much, whenever your opponent declares an attack, you can negate that attack. And then once you do that, you special summon this guy in face down defense position. It's a very good card to have to defend yourself with, and if it attacks a Ghostrick monster, you can also negate that as well. So you can have, if you have Jiangxi or any of your more boss monsters, you can negate that attack and special summon this guy. It's very useful. Another one that negates attack. It's Jack Frost. 3 Ghostrick Jack Frost. His is very different, but it's kind of similar mechanic to Lantern. In this case, what Jack Frost does is that when your opponent declares a direct attack, and this is only a direct attack, it cannot be if it attacks a Ghostrick monster or so on. But if your opponent declares a direct attack, you negate the attack, and not only that, you flip the monster that was attacking your opponent's monster face down. And if you do that, you special summon him face down. And what I love about Lantern, and I kind of see a lot of people actually take him in like side decks and shit, because a lot of the monsters nowadays, they cannot be targeted by card effects. This card is very special because its effect is not targeted at all. Same thing with the Lantern, it does not target it. And you will be seeing like a trend with all these Ghostrick cards that they do not target at all, which is insane to hear. This is another thing that my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card, Ghostrick Spectre. It's a little ghost. Whenever a Ghostrick monster is destroyed by battle by card effect, and it can be even face down too, you can special summon Spectre face down defense, and then you just draw a card. I love this card so much. Whenever I have multiples, it's just like you have 3 draws, plus 3 cards right here. You special summon and you draw a card. It's so good. It's so good. Another one is good to have is Mary. Mary is a very good card whenever you take battle damage when it comes to from an attack from monster or even burn damage. You can discard this you can discard Mary to the graveyard, and you can special summon any Ghostrick monster from your deck face down. Any of them, all of them. It's very good, man. You can special summon your Jiangxi and the other level 3s, or even Doll. Well, I'll show you right now. Next ones, you got my 2-ups. You got Mummy. Mummy is just good as that it's a decent beater. It's one of the heavier hitters in this. 1500 attack, 0 defense. His effect is whenever you switch up the field, you get an extra normal summon set of a Ghostrick card monster. So it's good to go for good pushes and shit. Next card is Ghostrick Go. Oh, it's only one of. Normally what he does, he can target one Ghostrick monster on the field, and it gives that Ghostrick monster gains the attack of all face-up Ghostrick monsters on the field, and he's the only one that can attack. So if you have a very like decent field, like a 5 Ghostrick monsters set up, you can apply his effect to one of your weaker ones, and he will be like a fucking beefsteak that can take down any like 5,000, 6,000 beater just because of his fucking effect. It's insane. What Go can do. I remember one time when back in like 2 or 3 years ago, we were facing a deck that normally revolved around Obelisk of Tormentor, and then they were using the field spell, which makes like level 10s like him fucking immune to card effects. Like he can't be targeted. So it's just like, okay, how the hell are we gonna get over this? Well, I think we actually top decked into a Ghoul, and we still had a decent field because he was only attacking with the Obelisk, and we used his effect to a fucking Spectre. And what happened is that Spectre had 4,100, and it beat over the Obelisk like it was nothing. This is why I love Ghoul so much, because of that stupid effect. It's something like it just catches people off guard when they see like, oh, this fucking doll has 6,000 attack now, and then I can just attack over you, and I can attack it directly, and you're just like, oh fuck, I can't do shit about it. Even with Mirror Force, if you have like protection, man, you'll be chilling. Like this is what this deck is so good at, just controlling everything. Some very awesome lockdown deck. Next one you got is Ghostrick Skeleton. This card is good for whenever you cannot really attack, or you're afraid to attack because of your opponent's back row. Because there's a lot, like all the mirror forces you got here. You got Quaking, you got the water, fire. You have all these like air storm. These pretty much will just kill this in deck if we would attempt to attack at all, even directly. So this is a safer alternative to actually win the duel by decking your opponent out with his effect. What Skeleton does pretty much is, whenever he's flipped face up, your opponent banishes cards from the top of his deck equal to the number of Ghostrick monsters you currently control that are face up. So if he's flipped and he's the only Ghostrick, your opponent will banish 1. But if you have 4 other ones, including him, your opponent will banish 5 cards from the top of his deck. And it's really easy to deck out your opponent with this deck, because now your opponent will have to worry about Skeleton, not everyone else, just Skeleton. Like, you'd be surprised how people will just get the Skeleton out of here, because this card will more likely kill them because of this crazy effect. So yeah, this is a very good card to use against. It's good to have, if you want, you can run 2 of them. And then the only non-Ghostrick card I'm playing is Kinko Bio, level 1 spirit. Pretty much once per turn, whenever you can special summon level 1 monster from your graveyard, special summon it. And unfortunately, whenever he leaves the field, I believe the monster is banished. Yep, remove that monster to play. So I normally use Kinko just to go for the quick level rank 1 plays, and if you had another level 1 on the field, he's perfect, because that way you can keep on using his effect the next turn you have. So you can special summon that Ghostrick and overlay with the other level 1 you have in the field without using Kinko, and you can recycle his effect whenever he's returned back to your hand, since he's a spirit. So this is another thing I like. And now with the spell, only one I believe 5 or 6. Let me show you. So the main ones I got is Ghostrick Mansion. This is the card that your opponent sometimes would not know like he will totally forget that you actually have this card. What this card does is that your opponent, neither players can attack face down position monsters. But if they only control face down position monsters, they can attack directly. However, if the attacking monster is not a Ghostrick monster, the damage is half. So if you have like, I don't know, like a Dark Magician, it's if he attacks directly, you're not gonna take the 2500. You can take the 1250 instead. But if it's a full on Ghostrick, you're taking the full damage because of this card. So this is a card that I usually like because it keeps me alive like a lot. And this is where I usually do all the manipulations based on this card's effect. It's very good. And then for extra protection, I run 2 Ghostrick Parades. If you're running a pure Ghostrick, I recommend using using Parade, because it's like you combo with Lantern and Jack Frost. It protects you so good. It's the same effect where your opponent your opponent, neither player can attack face down position monsters on the field, but they can attack face up. The thing is though, I take full damage and I cannot damage my opponent at all. So what's the good thing about it? Well, if your opponent attacks you directly, you get to search for any Ghostrick card, monster, spell, or trap. It's very useful, and if you whatever times a game was, you can add your mansion and then replace it. What happens is whenever I tend to search, I always would have to have a Lantern or Jack Frost, so that way I won't take damage, because its effect will only activate whenever you attack directly. So it's not when you take the damage, but whenever the opponent declares the direct attack, you then get the effect from Parade. And then you can chain it with either Lantern or Jack Frost to negate the attack, and you still get the search. This is the main thing that I really love about Parade. And one of the main ones we got here is Swords of Concealing Light. It's good to have your opponent's monsters face down, because this card does not target. Just simply push all your monsters face down, and they cannot change their battle position for the next 2 standby phases of your turn. It's very good. And then I'm taking 1 mass change too. In my extra deck, I do run Dark Law, so you can you can target any of your Ghostrick, since they're all Dark attribute. Discard 1 card, and then you can special summon your Dark Law. So it's just a nice tech to add in here, just to fuck it with your opponents if you want to. And that's all for the spells. Next, the traps. I'm running 3 Needle Ceilings. This is the go-to card that when I first started playing it, I never knew how devastating Needle Ceiling was, because this card is a straight up dark hole for your opponents. It does not kill your monsters at all, since for the majority of the part, all your monsters are gonna be face down. So what Needle Ceiling does is, if there are 4 monsters on the field, destroy all face up monsters. That's just it. Just destroys all face up monsters on the field. It's pretty fucked up. If you have face down, they're just chilling. So for the majority of the time, all your Ghostrick monsters are going to be face down during your opponent's turn. So whenever your opponent just somehow just meets the requirement that there are 4 monsters, boom, just stop their place with that. So I always run this card all the time in the back row, and people are usually afraid to do anything with it. The other one is another one of my favorite manipulating cards. Ghostrick Go Round has 2 amazing effects that sticks with the theme for this card. So the first effect says is, if you control face up a Ghostrick monster, you can flip it face down, and if you do that, you can target flip one of your opponent's monster that's face down to face up attack position. And its other effect is vice versa. So if you have a defense face down defense, flip it face up, and if it's a Ghostrick, you can flip opponent's monster face down. And again, this card does not target. It only targets your monster, not your opponent's. So this is another one that does not target. This effect does not target. It's very strong. Next one is the main lockdown of this deck, which is Ghostrick Knight. I'm running it at 2. So what it does is, while a Ghostrick monster is on the field, your opponent cannot flip summon. that alone is just like your opponent can do jack shit unless they take out the face of Ghostrick monster that's on the field. But you have multiples, there's nothing really they can do. And has this other effect. When this card is in your possession, is destroyed by your opponent's card and sent to the graveyard, your opponent cannot declare attack. So if they blind MST or Twin Twister it, you'll be fine. They won't be able to attack this turn. But I love this card because it stops your opponent from flipping, which is the main thing you want to do. You want to have them face down so that way your opponent can't really do much. So this is the main lockdown of this entire deck that I usually revolve around heavily upon. Next one is kind of your one-ofs. Ghostrick Break. When exactly one face-up Ghostrick monster that you control is in all the cards destroyed by battle or by a opponent's card effect, sent to the graveyard, target 2 Ghostrick monsters in your graveyard with different names other than that monster, special summon face down. This is good if you want to get if you have your Jiangshi, or you have an XC and then you want to overlay into a Spoiled Angel. So, and then use that effect by so this is a kind of a one-up that I love to mess around with. You surround that too if you want to go for it. This is a card that this is your Infestation Pandemic if you're running into swarms of this entire deck vanish. I really wish it was like a quick play spell. So its effect is pretty much is either one Ghostrick monster on your hand. This turn, Ghostrick monsters I control cannot even face down. Position monsters cannot be targeted or be destroyed by card effects. So it's good for like if your opponent attempts to like Meal Forces you, Dark Hole, Raigeki, or any of those cards, it just completely just nullifies that entirely. Just make sure that you have that Ghostrick card in your hand or Ghostrick monster in your hand to activate its effect. Next one, the last Ghostrick trap is Ghostrick Scare. I really wish I had it at 2 because it's very good to actually stop your opponent. Like if you have a lot of monsters and you have a lot of monsters, might as well have another one, right? So Scare does is just target any number face down position monsters, change them face up defense position, and pretty much is count the number of Ghostrick monsters among them, and if you do, change up to that many face-up monsters your opponent controls to face down. Again, this one does not target it as well. Just targets your monsters. It's so good. So I recommend running at least 2 of these. At least 2. And then your non-Ghostrick, only have 1 Quakey, unfortunately. I really wish I had 2 or 3 to use. This one pretty much is whenever your opponent declares an attack, change all attack position monsters they control into face down, and they cannot change their pattern position at all. So this is your kind of like your Swords of Conceding Light, but in trap form. As long as they attack, that's it for them. And then some things like Phoenix Chain, good to negate attacks. Negating attacks and negating monster effects is very good. 1 Solemn. I don't have Solemn Strike. I just have the Solemn Warning right now. So yeah, just pay when a spell card, trap, or monster effect is activated that includes an effect special as a monster, pay 2,000, negate the effect, and destroy it. Another one I like to mess around with is the Crush Quad Virus. Pretty much is tribute 1 dog monster with 1,000 less. Pretty much all the level 1s meet that requirement. And your opponent takes no damage until the end of the next turn. Also, you look at your opponent's hand and all monsters they control, and if you do, destroy the monsters among them with 1,000 or more attack. Then your opponent can destroy up to 3 monsters with 15 more in the deck. This card can kind of backfire you. It just really depends what deck you're facing with. But if it's a deck that really the monsters don't get their effects in the graveyard, you should be fine. It's just good to have. Probably best to psych this in. But this is something I really just mess around with again. And next we got is Grand Horn of Heaven. If during your opponent's main phase, if they special summon a monster, negate the summon, and if you do, destroy it, your opponent draws it, and then they skip the battle phase. It just goes to the next. It just ends the main phase. So if they're doing this in the main phase 2, boom, you go to end phase right there. Or main phase 1, go straight to battle phase. You're like, oh fuck me, right? Can't really do much. And then last trap is compulsory. Self-explanatory. We turn 1 monster on the field to your opponent's hand. That's pretty good for if you Xyz and shit. And finally, I'm just make this real quick. The extra deck, 2 spoil Angel Mischief. She does is once per turn, detach one material. You can add a spell, a Ghost Trick spell or trap from your deck to your hand, and this combos well with any of these, like any of your Ghost Trick cards, except for Succubus. But with Alucard and Dualahan, they have the effect that whenever they're sent to the graveyard, you get to add a a Ghost Trick monster, a Ghost Trick card from the graveyard to your hand. You just add it straight up whenever sent to the graveyard. So you can have it detached because you can. One of the best ways is just summon Ghost Trick Angel is just like overlaying it to either an Alucard or a Dualahan and use her effect by doing that. As long as you have a Ghost Trick card in your graveyard that you want to recycle back to your hand. And then since I have it here, Ghost Trick Alucard 18. Once per turn, you can target a set card on the field, destroy it, and your opponent cannot attack any other Ghost Trick monsters for an attack other than him. So if you have two of them, your opponent just cannot attack at all. And then Dualahan, he gains 200 with each face-up Ghost Trick card on the field. And he has the effect when detach a card, and you can target one monster on the field, including your own. Half its attack is pretty good if you want to beat over shit. And the only thing is though it does target, but I mean it's good. It's one of the best Ghost Trick cards in this entire deck. And then your non-ones, you got Embodiment of Crime and Embodiment of Punishment, Cain and Pain, right here. Oh, Cain and Abel. I'm sorry. They're pretty good. They're kind of like it's best to have them both on the field. Sometimes it's kind of hard to, but I've done it several times with it. Pretty much if your opponent attacks any of them, as long as you throw both of them, they take the entire battle damage. It's so good. Next one is Leviathan. 500 detach one gains 500, and if it has no XC material, it can attack directly. This is something that I'm kind of like, Acid Golem just 3000 beater. I wish I kind of replace him because every time you had to keep detaching it, if you had no materials, you can't attack, and it just burns you for 2000, and it really sucks. So I kind of really would try to take him out. And then Wind Up Zen mains kind of protects yourself from battle damage and card effects, and during the end phase you can pop a card by detaching. Well, yeah. And then Lionheart requires 3 level 1s. Kind of same thing with Cain and Abel. Your opponent, you can attach one instead of you and your opponent taking battle damage. Only your opponent will take battle damage if the attacks to this card, and this card cannot be destroyed by battle. It's pretty good. And then the last one I showed you was the Dark Law. Pretty much any card that's sent to the graveyard is banished instead, and if your opponent adds a card except by drawing, you can just I can banish one random card in their hand. It's very good. So this is the main deck that I have for the Ghost Tricks. One silver colors I would like to recommend would probably be, I don't know, if you really need Solemn Strike, I can't go for it, but it's this very back row heavy type of deck that you would really recommend just having just shit ton of traps to defend your monsters, because they're pretty weak in regards to attack. So another one would be Flooding Mirror Force would be the best one. Rippling, my bad. If the opponent attacks you directly, which mostly they will be, you can just send all those cards into the deck. It's an amazing compulsory device. And of course the Quaking really does help. As for extra deck, I really have no idea to really go for, but again, this is just the core, a really basic deck if you just really want to try out. But that's mostly it. So I hope you all enjoyed this deck, and again, I really apologize that I should have released this during October, because I think we would fit the archetype, but I couldn't. But anyways, hope you all have a good day, and also a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. So have a good one. Cheers.